Plaintiff Diana Ramos Molina says in 2012 her brother, the defendant, robbed her mother's friend and convinced Diana to take the blame. Diana agreed, and then the defendant testified against her, and she was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Diana's suing her brother for stolen property. Defendant Jorge Ramos Molina admits that he testified against Diana, but insists he only told the truth. Jorge claims after Diana falsely accused him of stealing her property, she started harassing him, and he has the voicemail to prove it.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Y'all keep him in here when I leave. Yeah. You be sneaking back there smoking that stuff.
Yeah.
All righty. Start with you.
Yes, Your Honor. Back in 2012, I went to prison for 3 years for a crime that my brother committed. He robbed my mother's friend and convinced me to take the blame for it. I had just turned 18, and I was naive. I believed him, you know.
What did he tell you?
He said that I probably wouldn't even get in trouble for it because I wasn't even there, that they would figure out, the detectives would figure out that I hadn't committed the crime and that I would be okay and that he would have my back, and he ended up testifying against me. And I did 3 years for something he did, and he testified against me.
That true?
No, Your Honor.
Yes, it is. Stop lying.
You didn't testify against?
Yes, you did.
You didn't testify against?
I did testify. However, it was her lawyer that subpoenaed me to be in court, Your Honor.
But you lied.
And I was honest, and she felt that because it wasn't in her favor.
That's not true. I had your back. I've always had your back. No. And you always lie on me.
When you say you were honest, that means she did do something wrong?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Is that what you told them when they asked you in
court?
Yes,
Your Honor.
You said, I don't know?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, you didn't. You said she did it because she was desperate for money.
You didn't know?
I was not certain. And in the end of the testimony, I stated that if she did it, it's because she was desperate.
No,
at the time I was young,
I did it because
I wasn't
How
sure how
were
to
you?
present myself in court. I was still in my early 20s.
You were in your early 20s?
So I wasn't experienced enough on how to
And
use my vernacular.
And you weren't present when the crime occurred, or you didn't know anything about the crime?
I did not know anything until after the fact, Your Honor.
Right, after she had been arrested?
Yes, Your Honor. The officer showed up at our residence and took her to what I can believe is the police station. They discussed it, and then I was served with a order for...
No, you told me when I went before...
As a witness.
And then I was served with a subpoena by her lawyer to be present.
Okay. And how does your family feel about this? What other family members do you all have?
My dad, he knows what happened. He knows that it wasn't me, but my mom always takes his side. And ever since we were kids, she's always favored him. You know, when I came from Nicaragua, I didn't know English, and he used to tell my mom things in English, and then she would come and hit me, and I didn't even know why I was getting hit. He used to destroy my Barbies. He would write on their faces and cut their hair, and...
Is that true?
No, Your Honor.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Why do you think she's making up all these lies? I mean, these are a lot of lies she's making up.
Until recently, she never stated that the crime that she was incarcerated for was me.
That's
it's
not
after
true.
these incidents
That's
that she is making this up.
That's not true.
In
I told my mom everything.
Quiet, ma'am.
In 2012, I went. I testified. It wasn't in her favor.
Got that part.
She pepper sprayed this lady, tied her up, and gagged her in her own home, and burglarized her.
Go ahead, ma'am. Why do you think he did this to you, beginning at such a young age and up through today?
At first, I used to always say it was because of our age difference, but I don't think that's the truth, because I've seen siblings that are farther apart in age that are super close. And I think I didn't want to accept the fact that he's just a nasty person and doesn't like me.
You all haven't discussed this as a family? Where does your father fall in? What did he do? What did he say?
My dad, he told me that he thinks he's jealous that I was born a female and that he was born a male. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know that he cross-dresses and he would always stretch out my clothes. He ripped with scissors the straps of my bras, the middle parts of my underwear. He's always destroyed my things, and I've tried talking to him, asking him why, asking him to stop, talking, yelling, arguing. Nothing changes.
Sir, you want to give me some background?
Yes, Your Honor. My sister is very manipulative. From a young age, she has gotten her way, and as far as cross-dressing, I don't cross-dress.
Yes,
I
you
did do drag on Fremont Street, but I had my own clothes. I had my own things.
Mine.
We are not the same size, Diana, in case you haven't noticed.
You stretched my clothes out.
Go ahead, sir. What else you want me to know?
After her incarceration, I moved to Houston. I thought we had reconciled everything, so I moved in with my mother, even though she was there. We were in a shared room. And from the get-go, she would cut the cord on my laptop, on my phone. She accused me of breaking her karaoke machine.
You did that to me.
And then, when I couldn't take anymore, I moved out. I moved out with my belongings. I did not take any of her things.
Let me say this, sir. You're very convincing, everything you're saying, but this woman isn't crazy. She's upset. Every single thing she has said, you claim she's making it up. Don't believe that. Let's get to the stolen property you're suing him for.
Okay. I have a list here, and I have the...
Tell me what happened.
In November 2018, I was in California, and I was texting back and forth with my brother when suddenly he stopped, and I called the phone and it was disconnected. So that for me was unusual. I drove to Las Vegas from California, and when I got there, I saw that my mom's apartment door was wide open. When I turned on the lights, I saw that my bedroom door had been kicked in and all my things were gone. At that point, I called the police. A few weeks later, a detective contacted me, and he said that he spoke with my mother. And of course, my mother took his side and got the charges dismissed. And you know, one thing I can tell you is if I had done that to him, I would be in jail.
Why do you think he did this? And what was the property he took? You have a list?
Yes.
Thank you. Why do you think he did it?
So, before this happened, he was destroying my things left and right. Every time I'd go to California, I'd come back and yes, you were. I would find something missing, destroyed, like my underwear, my bras, my shirt stretched out. And so, at this point, he destroyed something that was very valuable of mine, and I got upset. So I took some of his things, I put them in a box, and I said, I'll give you your stuff back when you reimburse me for what you damaged.
When was that?
That was in November.
Okay, same month that he kicked in your door.
Yes.
All right. Let me hear from you, sir.
Yes, Your Honor. We were unfortunately having issues. Of course, she mentioned the property that she accused me of, after which she did lock me out of the room we were sharing.
We were not sharing.
That's enough, ma'am. Let him speak. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to get away from all of this, from her, from the drama that was happening. So I talked to our stepfather and got permission to break down the door. He actually did.
Let's see it, please.
I actually got permission to get my things.
What things were in there of yours?
Books, shoes, different items, just a few bracelets. She took everything except my work clothes and wouldn't let me even touch my things unless I paid her. And once I moved out, after taking only my things, she began harassing me. She harassed me on my YouTube channel about an introduction.
Saying what? What was the nature of the harassment? Was it about her allegations that you took her items?
She said that almost everything in this video he stole, or had robbed my mom and I before he moved out.
Yes.
If you'd like, you can see that
Let's
as well.
see it, please. What do you mean, my mom and I? What do you mean by that, ma'am? You're mentioning your mom in this.
He stole some of her things too, but he returned them to her.
When did he steal her things?
The same day, November.
That is false, Your Honor.
2018. That's not true.
I also have emails.
What
and
of hers did he steal?
My mom collects teapots, and he stole her porcelain teapots.
How long afterward did he return them?
I don't know the exact date that he returned them, but last time I was in my mom's house, which was about sometime last week, I saw them.
I also have voicemails, if you'd like to hear them, Your Honor, where she is harassing me as well, and you can hear what she really is like.
I'm angry.
Let me hear 'em.
I'm angry because you stole
Let me hear 'em. Go ahead.
When you took my room from me while I was at work, you couldn't even stand to see my stuff in the living room. And every time I'd go on a trip, you'd mess with my stuff. You'd put my clothes on and stretch it out. You ruined my karaoke. And I just think that what you did was really up, and you haven't done it once. You've done it 4 times. You did it to me when I got locked up, and then you sold all my stuff and kept the money. I would be willing to let this go if you just gave me back my letters, my legal paperwork, and my stuff. Like, the things that have sentimental value to me that you took is up. And if you don't give it back, I promise you, one day when you let your guard down, I'm going to find you, and you're going to wish you never with me. If you decide you want to go put a restraining order on me, go ahead. I'll show up to court and tell them how you robbed me, and they might end up giving me a restraining order against your.
All right, that's enough. Sir, has your sister ever been, to your knowledge, diagnosed with a mental illness that causes delusions and hallucinations?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Because a person would be mentally ill to say all those things, and none of them would be true. And it's a one-way conversation to the person they're alleging that did that to them. They're not saying that to convince somebody on the outside because nobody hears them. The only person that hears them is the person receiving the message. And so she's saying something that she is very convinced of. So it's one or the other. Either she suffers from delusions, hallucinations, or I believe her. And you can't tell me she suffers from either of those things. So I believe her. $4,000 is your judgment.
I don't want contact with her. She is nothing to me.
I no longer have an older brother. As far as I know, my older brother doesn't exist. I don't have an older brother.